Recording.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi. And Mom. Today is Thursday, June 11th, and we're going to be reading 1 Kings 18 and 19.
18 and 19.
All right. Yes, he has Jesus. Yes. Yes.
You both have the
Why don't
Jesus
you get
book.
Jesus too?
He does.
Yes.
Jesus
All
loves
right.
the children.
So we're going to do 18 and 19, 2 chapters. And Daddy's not here right now because of me. Because I went to go get my haircut this morning and Daddy stayed here, so he went to work late. And he's not here just yet.
Now.
Well, he needs to be here now?
No.
Well,
In the morning after the woods.
All
so
right.
let's go ahead and start our reading. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Chapter 18. Yeah. We're going to read now. Elijah confronts Ahab. After many days in the 3rd year, the word of the Lord came to Elijah, saying, "Go and present yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth." So there wasn't any rain here, okay?
Yeah.
Elijah went to show himself to Ahab, and there was a great famine in Samaria. Ahab called Obadiah, who was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly. When Jezebel killed the prophets of the Lord, Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them in groups of 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And Ahab said to Obadiah, "Go into the land, to all the springs of water, and to all the brooks. Perhaps you will find grass to save the horses and mules, so that we do not lose all the beasts." So they divided the land between them to search throughout it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. As Obadiah was going along, he met Elijah, and he recognized him and fell on his face and said, "Is that you, my lord Elijah?" And he answered him, "I am. Go tell your lord, Elijah is here." He said, "What evil have I done that you would hand your servant into the hand of Ahab to put me to death? As the Lord your God lives, there is no nation or kingdom where my Lord has not looked for you." And when he said, "He is not here," when they said, "He is not here," he made the kingdom and nation swear that they could not find you. And now you say, "Go tell your Lord Elijah is here"? As soon as I'm gone from you, the Spirit of the Lord will carry you to a place I do not know. And so when I come and tell Ahab and he cannot find you, he will execute me. But I, your servant, have feared the Lord since my youth. Were you not told what I did when Jezebel killed the prophets of the Lord? How I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets in groups of 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water? And now you say, "Go tell your Lord, Elijah is here, and he will execute me." Elijah said, "As the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself to him today." Elijah and the prophets of Baal. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. When Ahab saw Elijah, Ahab said to him, "Are you he that troubles Israel?" And he answered, "I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house, in that you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and you have followed the Baals. Now send word out and gather for me all Israel on Mount Carmel, along with the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah, who eat at Jezebel's table." So Ahab called out all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together on Mount Carmel. Elijah came to all the people and said, "How long will you stay between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him." And the people did not say a word. Then Elijah said to the people, "I alone remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets number 450 men. Therefore let them give us 2 bulls, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, and cut it in pieces and lay it on some wood. But do not light a fire under it. And I will prepare the other bull, lay it on some wood, and not light a fire underneath it. Verse 24. And you call on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord, and the God that answers by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, it is well spoken. Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, choose one bull for yourself and prepare it first, for there are many of you, and call on the name of your God, but do not light a fire underneath. They took the bull which was given to them, and they prepared it, and called on the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, and no one answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. By noon, Elijah mocked them, saying, cry out loud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or is gone away, or is on a journey, or perhaps he is asleep and needs to be awakened. They cried out loud and cut themselves with knives and spears according to their custom until the blood gushed out upon them. As midday passed, they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice. But there was no voice. No one answered. No one paid attention. Elijah said to all the people, come near to me. And all the people came near to him. And he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be your name. And he built an altar in the name of the Lord with stones. And he made a trench around the altar, so deep that it could contain 2 seahs of seed. He arranged the wood and cut the bull in pieces and laid him on the wood and said, fill 4 barrels with water and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. He said, do it a second time. And they did it a second time. And he said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. The water ran all around the altar and also filled the trench with water. At the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet came near and said, the Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Hear me, O God, hear me, so that this people may know that you are the Lord God, and that you have turned their hearts back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. When all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and said, the Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God. Elijah said to them, arrest the prophets of Baal, and do not let one of them escape. And they arrested them. And Elijah brought them down to the Kishon brook, and executed them there. End of the drought. Elijah said to Ahab, get up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of the heavenly rainfall. So Ahab got up to eat and drink. And Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he threw himself down on the ground and put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, go up now and look toward the sea. And he went up and looked and said, there is nothing. And he said, go again 7 times. On the 7th time, he said, a small cloud, as small as a man's hand, is rising out of the sea. And he said, go up and say to Ahab, mount your chariot and get down, so that the rain does not stop you. In the meantime, the sky turned black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. The hand of the Lord was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran ahead of Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. Chapter 19. Elijah flees from Jezebel. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and how he had executed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. When he saw that she was serious, he arose and ran for his life to Beersheba, which belongs to Judea, and left his servant there. But he went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree and asked that he might die, saying, "It is enough. Now, O Lord, take my life, for I am not better than my fathers." As he lay and slept under a juniper tree, the angel touched him and said to him, "Arise and eat." He looked, and there was a cake baked on coals and a jar of water at his head. And he ate and drank and then lay down again. The angel of the Lord came again a second time and touched him and said, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you." He arose and ate and drank and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God. Elijah hears the Lord. He came to a cave and camped there, and the word of the Lord came to him, and he said to him, "Why are you here, Elijah?" And he said, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, Lord of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword, and I alone am left, and they seek to take my life." He said, "Go and stand on the mountain before the Lord." And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind split the mountains and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake came, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire came, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in a cloak and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. And a voice came to him and said, "Why are you here, Elijah?" And he said, "I have been very zealous for the Lord, Lord of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword, and I alone am left, and they seek to take my life." The Lord said to him, "Go, return on the road through the wilderness of Damascus, and when you arrive, anoint Hazael to be king over Aram, and you shall anoint Jehu, the son of Nimshi, to be king over Israel, and you shall anoint Elisha, the son of Shaphat of Abel, Meholah, to be prophet in your place. He who escapes the sword of Hazael will be killed by Jehu, and he who escapes the sword of Jehu will be killed by Elijah. Still, I have preserved 7,000 men in Israel for myself, all of whose knees have not bowed to Baal, and whose mouths have not kissed him." The call of Elisha. So he departed from there and found Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he with the 12th, and Elisha passed by him and threw his cloak on him. He left the oxen and ran after Elisha and said, "Please let me kiss my father and mother, and then I will follow you." And he said to him, "Go back, for what have I done to you?" So he returned from following him and took a yoke of oxen and sacrificed them and boiled their flesh with the yokes of the oxen and gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he got up and went after Elisha and ministered to him. And that is 1 Kings 18 and 19.
Bye. Have a great day. Please subscribe. Hope you like this video. Please leave a like or a comment. Bye.
Bye.